Well, hello. Hey, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you see this. I'm super excited to welcome you guys to Experience to Empire Part 1. That is right. This is the first in a three-part series, and I'm super duper duper excited that you are joining me for this conversation. Now, I want to let you know right off the bat, okay? Who is this conversation for? All right. And I am going to be looking at my notes because I want to make sure I get all of the goodness that I have planned for you in here. So you might be wondering, okay, Tiffany, what is this experience to empire? Well, this is a conversation for visionaries. Maybe you're a coach, maybe you're a consultant, maybe you're a business owner, maybe you're a ministry leader, or you're aspiring to be any of those things. This is for the person who has started the business, written the book, you've created the event, but it's time for you to now reach more people. You're like, man, how do I get in front of more people? I'm going to talk to you about how to go from selling your experience to scaling your empire with clarity and visibility. All right. And so this is going to be a three-part series. I'm going to take my time and really break this thing down. I see you guys here watching live. If you're watching, say hey, let me know you're here. If you are watching this via replay, you know I love what I call my replay rock stars. So just say hey to me, put a hashtag replay in the chat, and let me know you are tuning in because I like to come back and actually talk with you guys. All right. If you know someone who is a visionary, they're a creative, they're a speaker, they're an author, they're a coach, they're a ministry leader, and they need to be watching this, I want you to do something that's not going to cost you nothing but 2 seconds and hit that share button. Okay. This conversation is going to be just what they needed. And honestly, before I even dive a little bit more into this, I think this is probably clear, but I could be wrong. Here's the coach in me. Why is this timely? Why are we doing this now? There's two very key reasons. Number one, when you look at what's happening in the world, particularly in the United States, those of you who are here local to the United States, nothing has ever been more clear that you have to have multiple streams of income. Okay. And so maybe you have a job that you love, a full time job, but you realize this year, you know what? I see what Ecclesiastes 11:2 is talking about. I need to have something on the side that just helps to sustain and stabilize income, right? Or being that we are at the end of the year, this is also a perfect time for you to really kind of take inventory and look at where your business is now, where your ministry is now, so that you can begin, number one, to finish strong for this year, but also what are the pieces you need to put in place to have an even better year in 2026. All right. No matter what's going on in the world, your gifts, your solution, your passion, your expertise is needed now. Okay. And so I'm looking at my notes because I want to make sure I'm giving you everything that I prepared because I get excited about this topic. Now, let me do some how let me act like I got some home training because maybe somebody shared this video or maybe you stumbled upon this video and you're like, well, who is this person, right? And so my name is Tiffany Bethia. I am the founder of Tiffany Bethia International. I'm also the executive director for the Baltimore City Chamber of Commerce. All things, and I'm passionate about helping visionaries build iconic brands that turn their passion and their expertise into an online empire. And we do that through coaching and courses and books and digital products and even events. And so if you are someone who you know is called, maybe you've already written the book or books, right? Maybe you're hosting the event, maybe you're doing the things, but you know it's time for you to scale up, for you to reach more people, and you're not necessarily sure how to do that. This conversation is going to be for you. Now, this is not in my notes, but here's something that I know and I see as a trend. I've been doing this work since 2012. I don't even, how many years is that now? I just say the since 2012. This is so 13 years, 19 years in the industry, and then in 2012 I jumped out to work for myself. What I notice is that because you are a visionary, you're passionate, you're probably anointed and gifted. I notice that a lot of people start out and their gifting takes them to a pretty good place, but then they get to a place where they realize, uh-oh, I didn't realize I need a bigger audience, or I need more strategy. And you can get some results without those things and then look up and realize, you know what? I kind of been winging it a little bit. And now it's time to go to the next level. I'm going to need more strategy. So here's what I want to say. A couple things I pulled from my notes. Okay. Here is the thing that here is the thesis that we're going to unpack. Okay. It's not your experience that's missing. Whatever that next level is, however many more people you want to serve, however more money you want to be making in your business, it's not that you're missing experience, it's that you're missing exposure. It's not an experience problem. It's not an expertise problem. It's an exposure problem. Write this down. You've built the foundation, but if your message isn't reaching new audiences every week, you are operating beneath your potential. I'm saying that with my whole chest. Okay. Yes, you've built the foundation. You wrote the book. Woo! Good stuff, right? But now, if you haven't created a way for that message to be reaching new audiences every single day, really, then you are not hitting the mark. So let me just kind of break down. There's three things I want to talk about. I'm going to give you three nuggets, and we're going to just kind of unpack all of them. Okay. Here's the first thing I want you to understand. And it might seem basic, but I know in the work that I do, it isn't. Okay. Your brilliance must be on display. Your brilliance has to be displayed. So many of the people that I work with, when they first get to me, they think that their experience, their credentials, and what makes them awesome is enough. And they build beautiful websites, write amazing books, and put together incredible things, and never think about the fact that, hey, we've got to make sure we actually get this in front of the people who really need to work with you. Now, really quickly, I'm going to just put this here. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Okay. And if you, if you're on Instagram, you cannot see this. But of course, if you are watching this on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, you can see the lower third there. Okay. If during this conversation, you're like, okay, Tiffany, you're talking to me, understood. How can I learn more about how you can help me with this? You can just simply go to my website, tiffanybethia.com. You'll see a link right at the top where you can actually book a call with me so we can talk more. Okay. Commercial break out of the way. Let's keep going. Okay. Your brilliance must be on display. The most dangerous place for a visionary is obscurity. I want that to settle. I'm going to say that again. The most dangerous place for a visionary is obscurity. And here's the thing, whatever the gift is, whatever the solution is that God has given you, it's not to be in the dark. It's not to be in the shadows. And so the thing that I have been saying for the last year very intentionally is that you can't change lives if they can't find you. Many of the people that I work with are so passionate about, I just want to change lives. I just want to help people. And if that's hitting you in your good place, just go ahead and put I got hit in the comments. Okay? Because you can't change the lives that can't find you. And so for many people, and I'll go a step further. So many of the people I work with are creative. And so they've got 5 books and 4 courses and zero audience. you know, I have across all of my social media platforms and my email list combined, I have an audience of over 40,000 people who have said, yes, I'm interested in what you are talking about. I'm interested. I want to know more about what. So when I go to share whatever it is I want to share, there's a dedicated audience there. And this is the missing piece for most people. Your brilliance must be on display beyond your family, beyond your friends, beyond, your cousins, your colleagues. There has to be a group of people who says, man, I'm interested in what you have to say. But let's go a little bit deeper. Now, this is for the note takers. Okay, write this down. Visibility is stewardship, not vanity. I'm going to break this down in a minute. Visibility is stewardship. It's not vanity. So many times when I work with people, and this literally just came up. I was working with a client, and he said to me, we were talking about social media content, and he started describing like, well, I don't necessarily want to just post my breakfast, and what he was describing was being a content creator. And I said, well, you don't necessarily have to be a content creator, right? Or influencer. That's the word I want to use. You don't necessarily have to be an influencer, but you do have to make sure that you post content that establishes you as the authority on whatever it is you want people coming to you for, whether it's relationships or money or business or spiritual development, leadership, whatever it is. Before we can get to the stage, people do business with people that they know, like, and trust. And so one of the things that I am really big on getting visionaries to understand is that you have to daily expand the base of people who know, like, and trust you. It is not enough that you are talented or credible or have the credentials. You must be visible too. Okay. Did I make that point? All right. I think I made that point. Your brilliance must be on display. Now, let me just dig a little bit deeper and then we're going to get out of here. So many people that I work with are turned off by what they see on social media. Can you relate to this? I want you to put in the chat if you can relate to this. So many of the people that I work with are just really turned off to what they see on social media. They see so many people posting fluff, things that don't matter, a whole page of selfies and things that just seem to be insignificant. And one of the things I've had to really help people shift is don't allow what other people are doing on social media to impact your assignment, because someone else may be utilizing it that way. However, plenty of other people are utilizing it in a way where they're creating meaningful value and solutions in the world. And that is how I believe you are called to use it. So you cannot allow what you see other people doing that turns you off to cause you to miss the power of a tool that will deliver your genius and your passion and your solution to the people who need it. Who cares about, the people who are on here posting 500 selfies, or the Instagram models, or all the people who are using it in a way that you may not feel is meaningful. But and sometimes we hyper focus on those things when the reality is there are so many other people who are using it to transform lives. The question is, when it's put in your hand, what will you do with it? What will you do with it? And I say that because many of you, it's not that you don't know how, and I'm sure there's some deeper strategy, and we're going to talk about that in part 2. Some of you genuinely don't know what to post and what to say. But most of you, it's not that you're not showing up on social media because you don't know how at all. It's because something in you feels like conflicted because of what you see. And you've got to make up in your heart that I am going to steward what God has given me. I'm going to be intentional about sharing my voice and speaking up, because there are people praying for what I have. And I can't be concerned with what other people are doing or how they're using it. I'm going to be held accountable to God for how I stewarded it. And so we talk about that visibility is stewardship. God has given you influence. He's given you authority. He's given you a specific solution to be in the world. How are you going to steward that? Are you going to be the one that goes and buries it in the ground? Or are you going to say, you know what? I don't love social media, but I know I have to use it to reach the people that God has called me to reach. I'm going to steward my influence. I'm going to steward my voice by actually sharing it, right? So visibility, your brilliance must be on display. Visibility is stewardship. Let's talk about the second thing, okay? The second thing I want to say to you is that posting and praying does not work. Have you found this out already? What I usually call it the post and hope. Okay. The post and hope strategy does not work. And you probably already found that out. What is post and hope, Tiffany? Well, I don't really have a strategy. I'm just going to post something and hope that somebody is going to be interested in what I am saying. And the problem is, maybe you've gotten a few hits like that. And so you're like, well, it did something. But if you're looking to build a sustainable, and I'm using this word empire on purpose because I believe you're called to build big things. You've got big goals, you've got big dreams, big people that you want to be blessed to be a blessing. You're not going to build the empire that way. You might get a few hits randomly, and it might even be enough to make you feel like, ooh, okay, we're doing something. But if you're really going to build something that, come on, most of the people I talk to want to build generational wealth, want to transfer down something, want to leave a legacy, want to leave an inheritance. You're not going to do that with the post and hope strategy. Okay. It is going to take intentionality. Now, let me be a coach. Just give you a quick statistic, okay, to convince you as to why you need intentionality. Did you know that it could take, on average, 5 to 12 interactions before your audience is ready to buy from you? Who knew that? I want you to put it in the chat. Did you know that? Yes, no, where are you? Hey, Gregory. Oh, now I'm seeing the comments. Hey. So listen, how many of you knew that? How many of you knew that on average, it could take between 5 to 12 interactions with you before your ideal audience is ready to buy? Okay. We got a mixture, some yeses and some no's. Good. And here's when I first learned that statistic, I was in shock. This was this was almost 20 years ago, but I was in shock because I said, wow, that's a lot. Anybody think that? Does anybody feel like, you know what? Okay, on Instagram, you didn't know either. Listen, does that feel like that's a lot? Because for me, when I first heard that statistic, I thought, that's a lot. And so next week, right, we're going to unpack a little bit more around how do you build out those 5 to 12, but we're pacing it. We're taking our time. Okay. So Gregory said, you knew that. Okay. Right. So the reality is you need to have an intentional visibility system that helps you build out those interactions. This is why you're random. We just kind of, here's what we're posting for the week, or we post and we're throwing spaghetti against the wall is not converting. Oh, you're unable to post on Facebook. That's weird. I don't know why Facebook isn't letting people post. Okay, come on, Facebook, be my friend. Well, I see you on Instagram, so thank you for hopping over. So, knowing that, okay, I've got to speak up and share my voice, but I have to do it in a meaningful way. Let me look at my notes because I know there's a couple of other things I want to say. Here's what I want you to write this. I want you to write this down. The algorithm rewards consistency, clarity, and structure. I'm going to say that again because I know it often feels like we are in this major fight with the algorithms. But if we're honest, it's not the algorithm, okay? The reality is the algorithm rewards number one, consistency, showing up with consistency, showing up with frequency where your audience knows they can find you. The second thing is clarity. For many of you, it's not that you aren't posting enough, but it is, am I saying the right things? Am I using the words and phrases that actually resonate with my audience and actually draw them in to what I'm saying? Am I using the right structure? Every platform has its own set of rules that you have to play by. And so you can't take something directly from LinkedIn and post it on Facebook. It may not transfer well. So when I repurpose content and I'm sharing it to multiple platforms, oftentimes I am changing the format for different platforms. Okay, I have my biggest presence on Facebook. I've almost 10,000 followers on Facebook, followed by Instagram, followed by LinkedIn. And so at the moment, I post to all of those platforms. But I curate very intentionally how I show up in each of those platforms. Same overarching message. And then some things, for example, this live stream. A live stream, every platform loves. So I'm literally live right now on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. This is one of those things that does translate well across the platforms. I'll give you a couple of other things that translate well across platform are reels or shorts. On YouTube is shorts, on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, even TikTok, they will be reels. And so taking your knowledge and putting it in bite-sized pieces, however, some of the captioning will be different. Right? And so I don't want to get too deep into the weeds of that, but the point that I'm making to you is that you need a clear visibility system. A clear visibility system is going to include things like number one, who am I talking to? I'll be honest with you. Most of the people that I work with we start right there because most people cannot give me a clearly defined niche target audience. And they give me really broad phrases like, I work with women, I work with leaders, things that are super broad and not specific enough. Oh, this is interesting. Cheryl said on Instagram, I'm struggling with beginning again because I don't want personal to clash with professional. Well, this is good, Cheryl. We should talk about that. Well, and I think that probably shows up more on LinkedIn because I think on other platforms, there's definitely ways to show more of the totality of who you are and what you do. And so, for example, I am someone, one of my brand statements is helping you build a flourishing life and business. Because the reality is, not only am I a business coaching consultant and can help you grow that, I'm also a minister and a faith-based speaker, and I can also help you grow there. And so I encompass the two together. And now because I'm an entrepreneur, I can show that on LinkedIn, right? And of course, the other platforms. If you have a job where it's more difficult to show that on that platform, then it just means you may have to be more intentional about the other platforms that you build? So that's like a blanket answer. I know there's a little more that's involved with that, but here's what I will say is that if there are multiple sides that you can comfortably show and they're connected, then that would definitely be my suggestion, especially as you're building, your personal brand and you're showing people know with me that you're going to get scripture, you're going to get personal development, and you're also going to get business development. They are all of the pieces of me. And sometimes we'll lean more to this side, other times we'll lean more. Sometimes it's just a complete mesh. It just depends. But you know that both of those things are on brand for me. So wanted to just throw that out there. And I hope that that was helpful. So in the last little bit of our time together, let's recap what we talked about so far, because I got quite a few notes for this third point. Okay. First thing we talked about was the fact that your brilliance must be on display. Visibility is stewardship. And I'm gonna lean in and say this a little bit. Now that we spent some time together, and you know that I care about you, I'm gonna say something with a little bit of bass in my voice because I think you can handle it. Okay. So oftentimes I'll meet with people and they say things to me like, "I'm not a social media person," which is very much an identity. I'm like, who is, right? We don't need you to become a social media person. We just need you to action post on social media. But aside from that, going back to the visibility is stewardship. It really boils down to, am I willing to honor God by sharing what he has given me? You don't have to love social media. That's not the requirement. You don't have to become somebody who loves it. That's not required. You just have to do the actions that say, I've been given a gift. I have an expertise. I have a passion, and I know I'm supposed to share with the world. So I have to literally share it with the world. And also, I hear that. Let me say this too. One of the things that also comes up is for people who are very private and people who are introverted. And so sometimes I have people and they start a whole nother page because they want to separate their life from there. And I often tell them, if you are a visionary, if you're a coach, a speaker, a thought leader, that doesn't exist for you. Two separate, nope, it needs to be together because people do want to see who you are as a person. What you just want to be mindful of is, what do I share and how do I curate what I share? I share so much of my life, and yet there's still a good portion that is very private. I have mastered the art of being a public figure, sharing motherhood and what God is doing in my life and the ups and downs of business and all of those things, but yet holding on to the things that are too private and that I'm not ready to share. And so my suggestion is not to create two separate spaces, because the reality is your personal brand is going to drive the people who are going to buy the courses or buy the consulting. All of the people who work with me buy me. They're like, there's a million, brand. They believe in my ability, my approach, and seeing the totality of who I am helps them to make that buying decision. So you can say, I'm private, I don't want to share too much, but I still need to be visible and share myself so that you get me. I'm trying to get to my third note, but I got to say this really quickly. I love how Ephesians 3:20 talks about God is able to do exceeding abundantly above anything you could ask or think. B clause, according to the power that works in us. In us. Okay. Another scripture I love talks about the fact that we have this treasure in our earthen vessel. That's you. Meaning that, yes, God has put something powerful in you that the world is in need of, but it's in you. So in order for us to get the treasure, we still need the vessel. That's you. Some of you, well, I don't think I've ever said it this way, but some of you want to highlight the treasure and eliminate the vessel. And no, you're part of the package. You are part of the package. The way you speak, even your personality, your makeup, your perspective, how you see things, that matters. So you can't remove that and try to just give us the degree or the years that you spent in business or no, we need you. I don't even have the time. I really want to unpack that. Because this is why so many people try to hide behind their logo. You go to their website, they're nowhere on there. That works for certain business models. Certain. If I'm going to buy some makeup from MAC, I don't necessarily need to know the founder's story. It's nice to have though, but I don't have to have that. But if I'm going to buy coaching or consulting or a course or come to your retreat, I need to know more about you. You can't just give me the company name and the company logo and mission and think that's going to be enough to hook me. I need you. Now, this is not in my notes, so I know this is for somebody. Okay? We need you. And so for some of you, you've got to first settle into the fact that I can't hide. I cannot hide. I'm going to have to show up. And I'm going to have to just simply decide what parts I share, what parts I keep to myself. But I'm going to be human online. Okay? All right, y'all. Let me keep this thing going because believe it or not, I got to go be a guest on somebody's podcast in a little bit. So that's keeping me honest on time today. So we talked about the fact that your brilliance must be on display. Second thing we talked about was the fact that posting and hoping doesn't work. If you cannot show me a clearly mapped out visibility strategy, your results are going to be sporadic and inconsistent. And if that's your goal, no problem. But if your goal is consistency and upgrading and growth, you need to have a visibility strategy that matches that. Okay? So let's keep going. Here's the third thing that I want to end this conversation with. Okay, now keep in mind, this is going to be a 3-parter. And so they're going to all build on each other. Okay. If you are watching this on Instagram, you can't see the lovely lower third that I have happening there. But if you know that, you know what, I need to, going into the top of next year and even where I am right now, I need some clarity. I need some coaching. I need someone to help me up level my brand and take it to the next place. Then I want you to just simply send me a message so that I can send you a link. If you are on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, you can see the link. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to stop the scrolling because sometimes that becomes, let's stop the scroll. And you can simply go right to TiffanyBethia.com. You'll see a link right at the top to book a discovery call to simply learn about how I can actually work with you. I see your hand on LinkedIn, so just shoot me on Instagram. Just shoot me a DM. That's hilarious. Okay, so let's keep going, you guys. Here's the third point. If you could see my note sheet, you would be like, what? Because this is where I got the meat of it, but I'm going to get it in this time, okay? The beginning, so the first 2 points, I really talked about the why. Any good coach is going to tell you why first because you're not going to do the what if you don't believe why, right? But now let's get into what a little bit more, okay? We're talking about, I started off talking about the fact that it's not your experience that's missing, it's your exposure, okay? That visibility is going to be the thing that's needed at the next place. Well, let's talk about how we do that. One of the first steps in the process that I believe is you need a disruptive message. Write this down. You need a disruptive market message. So here we go. The online world doesn't reward the best ideas. It rewards the clearest ones and the boldest ones. Your audience is bombarded with messages every single day. They're coming like this. And so here, the reason I use the word disruptive is very intentionally because from a data perspective, what we know is that people on social media are just kind of typically doing this. literally, right? We want to create and craft a message that causes you to disrupt their scroll, that they stop and go, huh, what is this? It stands out to them. For somebody else, it may not be, but for them, it stands out. It's like, wait a minute, I needed to see this. I needed to hear this. If your message sounds like everyone else's, you'll stay invisible, no matter how gifted you are. And I want to say that again. If your message sounds like everyone else's, you will stay the best kept secret, no matter how gifted you are. You're like, man, I got the credentials. I'm anointed. I'm amazing. But you need to craft a disruptive market message that causes you to stand out in the mind of the people that you want to serve. Okay, let's go a little bit further. Your message is your magnet. You don't attract clients by offering what's common, but you attract them by communicating what's counterintuitive but true. A disruptive market message challenges a belief your audience currently holds, and it reframes it with revelation and strategy. So if you notice, I've been giving you my disruptive message throughout the talk, which is the fact that it's not your experience that's missing, it's your exposure. Most of the people that I work with think that their experience, their credentials are enough, and they're not. Because if you are not also visible, right, then you are not going to make the impact you desire. You cannot change the lives that cannot find you. That's my disruptive market message, because most of the people that I work with don't think that. So they keep creating, and they created a new course, and they're creating books, and they're hosting events, and they're creating and doing, because it has not occurred to them that, oh, wait, building an audience matters. Visibility matters. It matters more than how amazing your offer is or how great your expertise is. But let me give you some other examples. I had a client recently who she is a dating coach, and she works with Christian single women who want to get back into the dating world. And these women have struggled with dating. They have not been consistent. And I love telling this one because I wish I could see you guys' faces, but you could just put it in the chat. I always get a reaction when I share this. But what we really came up with in so many words for her disruptive market message was that, her audience, they are stuck because they think there's pee in the dating pool. That's their mantra. There's pee in the dating pool. But the reality is their lack of consistency in showing up, their lack of consistency for their values, not being able to ask for and go after what they desire, and a laundry list of other things makes them the pee. And so what her disruptive market message is to get people to see you are in your way. It has nothing to do with the supposed pee that's out there. Sis, it's you. And the moment you take control and do the things you need to do, you will attract what's in alignment for you. Now that's disruptive because for her audience, they don't think that. They would say, I'm single because ain't nothing out there. No, you're single because you're not doing the work that you need to do. And that's an example of a disruptive message. What does your audience currently think when it comes to their desired outcome that you can help them provide? And how can you help them reframe what it should be? What it should be. I'll give you another one. I have a client who is a financial coach. She's a brilliant, right? But now she's increasing her visibility. And what we came to realize is that for her audience, they believe that they just need to make more money, when the reality is, no, you just need to better steward what you make. So they're out here constantly figuring out, like, how can I just get more money? And her job is to show them you got enough. You're not doing the right things with it. Now, if you notice a trend, I noticed that these disruptive market messages might be a little bit of a, like, they hit you in the chest. Would you say that? But that's why it is disruptive. because your audience is walking this way and they need somebody to jolt them and send them this way because that is the direction of the result they desire. And it's going to be your content and your voice that redirects them so they can actually finally get to where they want to be. Okay. And so when we work together, one of the things that I do with clients is help. One of the first things we even do is discover what is your disruptive market message. Because it's not just, and we talked about this at the end of the second point, that the algorithm rewards consistency. Clarity is speaking to this. Not only are you posting every day, but are you saying the right thing? Are they seeing your posts but just ignoring them? I remember I had a client last year who was posting consistently every day. But when we looked at her social media, what I realized is consistency isn't the issue. Clarity is. You don't have a disruptive market message. And as soon as we shifted her message, her business began to balloon and explode. Which one of those words is better? I don't know. Balloon, explode. Let's just say grow. Okay. So let's keep going. How do you craft your disruptive market message? Okay. I'm going to give you 3 quick steps. All right. How do you disrupt how do you craft your disruptive market message? Number 1, identify the mainstream message in your industry. What is everybody already saying? So for the client who was the dating coach, what we easily identified was that everybody in her audience was saying, it's P in the dating pool. That was like the theme, right? But as we begin to unpack that, we started to realize why that wasn't the thing that was stopping them. Okay. So number 1, we identified that statement as the mainstream message everybody was saying. But then step 2 was define what you believe differently and why it matters. She began to tell me about her experience, how she found her partner online in the dating, and she was 40 plus, maybe 50 plus at the time. I think 40 plus at the time. And so she began to unpack what she believed was that the problem isn't out there. The problem is something I'm doing and I'm not aligning, right? So that was how we identified that. And then step 3, turn that belief into a bold statement that makes people stop scrolling and start thinking. Like, now that you mention it, you're right. I'm inconsistent. I might be a P. You might be right, sis. It might be me. It might not be them. Now that's powerful because that's not a blame thing. That gives them the ability to say, so if I shift my actions, I can get what I want. Got it. So let me read those 3 steps again. How are you crafting your disruptive market message? Number 1, identify the mainstream message in your industry. What is everyone saying? Or even if they're not saying it, they probably are in some ways, right? What do they think? What's like the dominant thought? Especially as it relates to the solution you help people achieve. Now, step 2, I want you to define what you believe that's different and why it matters. You're the expert for a reason. You know something different. You've achieved the result. Maybe you've even helped other people achieve it. And so you know that mainstream thought is not true. And you're like, this is what's tripping people up. Well, what do you believe that's different? Because now in step 3, we're going to turn that belief into a bold statement that makes people stop and like, you know what? It's okay if they might even initially get a little bit offended. Like, I'll never forget reading a book by Rachel Rogers, We Should All Be Millionaires. Anybody read that book? We Should All Be Millionaires by Rachel Rogers. Let me tell you something. Talk about disruptive messaging. And I was like offended initially, like, who are you talking to? It's okay if it shakes them to a place initially where it's like, You don't know me like that. You know why? Because they're in a wrestle. That truth hits them in such a place. And as they hold on to that truth, it's really going to empower and free them so that they can move in a different direction. Okay. So here's an example of a framework if you want to write this down. All right. Most type of people, this is who you serve, think they need insert the belief, but what they really need is boom. Okay? Let me give it to you again. Most insert your type of people think they need and insert the belief, but what they really need is boom, insert your truth. So if I was to use this statement, I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. I would say most visionaries think that their experience is enough, but it isn't. What they need is more exposure. That would be mine because my audience thinks, well, shoot, I'm certified, I got a degree, I did this for 20 years, I'm gonna just write the book and boom. And then the and boom doesn't happen because they're like, what happened? You need exposure, you need an audience, you need authority online. Yes. Okay. So let's wrap this up. Okay. Number one, we talked about the fact that your brilliance must be on display. It's not optional. And visibility is stewardship. The most dangerous place for a visionary is obscurity. You got this powerful solution. You got people who are practically begging God looking for it, and you're hidden under a rock. That's a dangerous place. You need to be visible where the very people who need what you have can find you. Okay. Number two, posting and hoping is not a sustainable plan. You need an intentional visibility system that gets you the 5 to 12 or more interactions that your audience might need to know, like, and trust you enough to invest in your coaching, your consulting, buy your book, come to your event. Okay. And then third, as we talk about the how, one of those first pieces is you need a disruptive marketing message. Before we even talk about, watch this. This is what I didn't say. Your disruptive marketing message goes everywhere. Your website, your social media, your email, your business card, it goes everywhere. So on so many times I meet people and they got all this stuff. They got a website, they got a this, they got a that, but they never met with anyone who gave them clear brand strategy. And so there's no disruptive message anywhere. Once you figure out your the reason I wanted to start with this is because we don't want to talk about website yet or social media or email or any of that until we know what are you coming to the market with that's going to hit them like this. Because if you don't have that mapped out, then when we look at your website and we see, I literally have a stack of business cards from all of these events I go to. And on one of them, I have someone who is, I think it literally says something like motivational speaker or something super bland. I have no idea what that, the short version is, at this moment, I would never book them for anything, right? Like I keep cards, so I'm keeping it, but there's nothing on there that tells me how you show up in the world, the solution you are, what your voice is on, or why I should book you for anything. And so they have a business card, but it doesn't really tell me what I need to know to move them into action. And so this is your first step. Okay. Now, next week in part 2, we're going to be here next week again, Wednesday, November 12th at 2 p.m. EST. Okay. The next 2 weeks will be 2 p.m. EST because of my schedule. All right. Next week, we're going to dive a little bit more now into the mechanics. I had to hit you with the why first, because a lot of you are just like, I want to hide behind the website, okay? But next week, we're going to get a little bit more into the weeds of what does that look like. All right, Tiffany, you've convinced me. Fine. I will show up online. How exactly do I do that, okay? And so we're going to talk about the 3-step approach and the very specific things that your online content needs to do to get in front of the right people and to get you more coaching clients and more people showing up to your events and more people buying your books. It's 3 specific steps. Okay. All right. Now, last but not least, this is the last commercial break before I go rest my voice so I can go be a guest on this incredible podcast in 30 minutes. um, if you're ready to be seen and sought after by the right people, I want you to book a call with me. Okay. I have 2 spaces open up for November, and that's not like 2 spaces. Okay. And so if you're like, Tiffany, you're talking to me, there is not an unlimited, this is not a whatever you feel. Okay. My calendar does close. Okay. And so if you're like, you're talking to me because I've been creating the things, I wrote the book, or I created the coaching business or the consulting, I did the things, but now I realize you're talking to me. I don't have a clear visibility plan. I've been so focused on, I want to help the people, I forgot to create a plan to go get the people. Then I want you to go to TiffanyBethia.com. If you're on Instagram, I know you can't see the lower third, just shoot me a DM or click the link tree and book your call with me. Get one of those 2 spaces before they go. And as a matter of fact, I got 2 calls coming up this week. And so those spaces could be gone. Okay. So if you're like, I don't even know, I think this could be a good fit and I want to learn more, go ahead and book your discovery call. And on that call, I'm going to learn more about your business, your goals, what you've created, and then we'll talk a little bit about what you need to actually see those goals and to grow and to scale your business. All right. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. Again, if you watch this, first of all, live or replay, if you're here now, you're the GOAT. Okay. Next Wednesday, November 12th, I'll be here again at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for part 2. We're going to dig in a little bit more to the how, and I'm going to show you the 3-step. There's 3 specific things that if your content is not doing this every day, you're missing the mark. And I'm going to help you make the goal. I'm not going to just show you what you're not doing. I'm going to show you what to do so that you can begin to immediately implement that. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I will see you guys again on next week.